Where's Coach Green?
Up and rebound, that a girl.
Nitpicking.
Down, get her open, use that screen, Sanaya, right?
Yeah. I would say those are two great qualities that she has. And she will nag and nitpick at something until she gets it her way. And she has convinced everybody that her way is the right way. And then she won't stop until she gets that. And she has this fetish about, she has to have Diet Coke. So when we go to a school that's a Pepsi school,
yeah,
she's pissed.
Does she bring her own? Does she travel?
She makes somebody go out and get Diet Coke.
Right. Yeah.
And now the whole iced tea thing is, and the whole Panera Bread. See, the problem with Chris is once she latches onto something, it's the greatest thing in the world. And she has to have it. And if you don't like it, then you just don't understand.
I hardly drink Diet Coke anymore. I drink one a day, possibly late, and then well, game day I have two. Again, routine.
So like, what's the point? So you like iced tea, we don't. Well, there's something wrong with you. Okay.
What I hear from the players is that CD makes them wear pantyhose. And they don't want, it's itchy, or they don't like it.
That's not my area of expertise.
Or no fingernail polish, right? Or a few of these how to behave like a lady in public type of things. Not your territory, Geno?
Well, let's just put it this way. If I see something I don't like, I'll comment on it. And then it's her job to make sure that it gets done. I just look at the finished product. If I don't like it, I say something. You know, I love bratwurst, but I have no interest in seeing how it's made.
Has anyone ever successfully pulled a prank on CD?
I don't know. That's a good question. It'd be like, you know, I went to Catholic school, she went to Catholic school. It'd be like pulling a prank on one of your nuns. Like, how could you do that?
Nobody wins.
Like, yeah, I mean, it's a no-win situation. You know what I like to do is she leaves her iced tea on the scores table when we're playing or when we're practicing. So what I'll do is when she's not looking, she doesn't drink coffee, you know. Very rarely does she have a drink. So I'll always have coffee at practice. So I'll walk over to where her iced tea is, and I'll take the straw, and I'll take a huge sip of her iced tea. And when she comes back, she'll go, ew, because she'll taste the coffee. So now what I've done is I take the straw out, flip it upside down,
This is elaborate.
and stick it back in there and and the kids will be laughing at the scores table, and she finally caught on to it, so I couldn't get away with that anymore.
Get in the stance. Where's the ball? Off your man.
You are the face of the program, but she is so instrumental.
Did you tell her that?
Do you disagree that you're the face of the
No,
program?
does she know that?
Oh,
If you do the interview with her, you should remind her of that once in a while.
Why does she need that reminder?
Because she might argue at that point with you.
I think that might be fair. She's been alongside you the whole time.
That's right.
What is your relationship like with her?
How do you describe, you know, a relationship that goes back, you know, more than 30 years? I mean, it's hard to, you know, you can't really just capsulize it and say this is what it is. It has a lot of layers to it. You know, it's a relationship that's coaching, that's non-coaching. We're about the same age. I'm a little bit older than she is. We've had similar experiences with our parents, you know, and we've been through, you know, everything you can imagine through the program, both what you see on the court and what you don't see. So it's the kind of relationship that's better than any other coach can have in the country with one of their, you know, one of their coworkers, you know. So it's not like, you know, she's assistant coach or associate head coach, Chris Daly. I mean, like, there's no titles to really define what, you know, what the relationship is after all these years.
It took a lot of extra time in the gym, and it wasn't easy at all. You know, I had to learn a lot. I had to ask a lot of questions, and it was great that we have the best forwards in the country, you know, on my team. So I got to learn from the best. My athleticism helped and it made it a lot easier for me to adjust. I'm hoping that people see that, you know, it's more than my athleticism. I'm starting to learn the game now, and I work harder than, you know, my opponent. I just want them to know that if we're in crunch time, if, you know, we're down by 1 with less than a minute to go, I want them to know that I'll be the one to get that rebound. I'll be, like, they can depend on me to get that loose ball kind of thing. And just to know that, like, I'll do the little things too, if that's what it takes. I think we have some players that can do the bigger things, you know, like Stewie and Mo, but if it comes down to it, I want them to know that they can depend on me. I would say, we saw a Broadway show last Christmas, or Christmas time, and that was my first time in the city at all, so I was already, like, pretty excited, and then we got to see an actual Broadway show, Book of Mormon. It was really funny. Beyonce, obviously. I mean, people mistake me for her, so.
Who would play Coach?
He's not a real character, or he's not a real person, he's a character, but Tony Soprano.
Who would play CD?
Oh, that's a good one. What's her name from The Devil Wears Prada? Meryl Streep, yeah, there you go.
Presented by UCONN Health.
What we did, in some ways, has been unprecedented, obviously. The danger is sitting here going, you know what we've done? You know, what we've done is unprecedented. And then you would go, yeah, okay, now what are you going to do next? Well, no, let me tell you exactly what we've done. You know, so the danger is living in that world and not recognizing that today and tomorrow's world are way more important than what happened in yesterday's world. Yet at the same time, the lessons that you learned yesterday are going to help you today, and they're going to help you tomorrow. We have a toast sometimes that we do. Honor the past, respect the present, and believe in the future. And that's what we try to do.
One of your younger coaches, Shea Ralph, used to be one of your players. Mm-hmm. How was that a unique situation for her to have that relationship from both sides with you?
Well, I've been fortunate, you know, pretty much since it could happen. You know, we've had at least one former player on our staff. And I kind of like that because it's a little bit of continuity, and it's a little bit of another ally that you have on the court, in the locker room, wherever. Because they can say, look, this is how it is. And I use her as an example a lot of times with the players of, you know, what it was like for her as a freshman and what it was like for her as a senior. You know, some of my players have really surprised me about wanting to get into coaching, and she was one of them. But it was good that she left and coached someplace else for 4 or 5 years and then came back, because now she's, you know, she has a perspective of a couple places instead of just one. But she's kind of the way she was as a player, is how she is as a coach.
When did that conversation start, or how did the conversation start? Do you want to come back to UConn? Who's reaching out to whom?
Well, I mean, there's no room if we don't have any room. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, people say, well, you know, how come you're not coaching in Connecticut? Well, they already have a bunch of coaches. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't until Tanya Cardoza got the Temple job. Mm-hmm. And by that time, I obviously had seen Shea a lot of places, interacted with her a lot, stayed in touch with her a lot. And it was just a matter of picking up the phone and saying, hey, we have an opening here, and are you interested? Mm-hmm. And it's like, yeah.
Clap it up, talk, that's it, guys. Talk it up, guards. Good, Sanaya. Get it!
Why did it surprise you that she wanted to try coaching?
Well, generally speaking, people who major in biomechanical, sports science, engineering, save the world from everything and get, you know, 3.9s or 7s, whatever, don't waste their time on coaching.
I didn't know that was her major.
Yeah,
she picked the hardest thing she could do.
She's got one of the hardest majors you can imagine.
And then got into coaching.
Yeah. Yeah. But it just surprised me because during the time she was here, if somebody would have said, hey, you think Shea would make a great coach? I said, no. No.
Why not?
Because she was uncoachable for a lot of time, for a lot of her career here. And because she's hard-headed and stubborn and tough and passionate and hard-nosed, and this is how I'm going to do it. And now I gotta pull her back. I go, yo, man, you gotta relax with these guys. You're gonna kill them.
For practices or whenever you should be here, you need to be here 30 minutes before. And I said, for you shouldn't be here before that. I said, you're a freshman. You have a lot to learn. You should be the first one out on the floor.
Right.
If she was uncoachable,
Yeah.
how do you think she arrived at a point where you would call her a peer, even?
Well, I think players, as they grow up, start to realize that they don't know everything about everything. You get older, you realize, wow, this is big. And somehow she got into coaching and realized that, hey, I can have an effect on players. Mm-hmm. Like my work ethic, I can pass that along to other players. You know, it was never that Shea didn't work hard. It wasn't that she didn't train hard. It wasn't that she didn't, you know, we had to pull her back from doing too much.
She's very intense, but that always seems like a compliment in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, we always talk about that. Whatever you're great at is going to be your downfall if you don't manage it properly. And her intensity level is what drives her and a lot of our players that she works with. And her intensity level is what I always worry about. So you got to kind of walk that fine line.
Hey, just put it up and whip it.
I'm thinking about like.
No, you don't want to do it. Do that. Just, you know this pass? Just that one.
Would you think that would ever be a tough spot for a person who played at the school that they would now coach at? You think they would only be seen as that player, oh, I remember you, instead of having their own coaching identity?
Well, that's part of becoming, you know, separating yourself from the players. So coming back here made her even more focused and more driven. Because where she was, the expectation level was X. Now you come back here and the expectation level is Y. And whatever you were doing over there, it's not going to be good enough here. Just like when you were a player, whatever they were doing over there wasn't going to be good enough here. Mm-hmm. So it was a perfect situation for her to get into. Four's never been done. That's important to me. If it happens, that's all people will talk about. And oh, by the way, that was Connecticut's 11th national championship.
We're not even close to where we need to be.
How'd you lose her?
This is a big deal, going for 4 in a row.
It's definitely tougher than you thought.
Everyone is so good on this team, you have to bring something else to the table.
As stubborn and hard-headed as Sui is, Coach is the same way.
Welcome back to the Geno Auriemma Show, presented by UCONN Health.
The next coach to talk about is Marissa Mosley, who is a ray of sunshine. She has a lot of energy.
I'm sure the other two will be happy to hear that when you say that.
I'm not saying
She's
that
a ray
the
of
other
sunshine.
two are not. I'm saying there's a bubbliness to
darkness
Marissa.
that the other two live in.
Oh, gosh.
The cloud
I'm going to get
that
in
those
trouble.
two bring in.
I'm going to get in trouble. Is it fair to say Marissa is the most smiley of your assistant coaches?
Yeah, she's got a different personality.
Okay. What is that personality? How would you describe Marissa?
You know, it's different. It's different because she's generally positive, upbeat, having fun, great sense of humor. You know, she and I are pretty much we're more compatible, you know, in the way we look at things. There's times when we're going off on a tangent that the other two just really don't really care for. But yeah, at practice sometimes she's the one that's the hardest on some of the players.
How so?
Just maybe because it's, hey, everything's fine. Everybody's lovey-dovey. I love you, you love me. I love this, isn't this great? And then whack. And the kids are, whoa, where'd that come from?
What did she do to impress you in the interview?
You know, people think that like you have to be this great guru of basketball to work for us. And it's not like that at all. Or, you know, when people hire people, they go, well, they've got great recruiting contacts. I don't care. I got great recruiting contacts. I don't need anybody with. CD has great recruiting contacts. What? I don't care that you have great recruiting contacts. You know, so the things that I look for are like, can you communicate? Like, are you good on your feet? Like, the adults you're going to come in contact with, you know how to handle that? And the players on our team. And when we talk to recruits, and when we talk to parents, and when you're in this situation, how do you handle yourself? And to me, that's what's important. So that took like, you know, like took like 5 minutes, not even. Because I heard this from a person one time, that when you're in the job that we're in, if it takes me more than a minute or two to realize whether I want to work with somebody or not, then I'm just not very good at my job. So it didn't take very long. Didn't take very long.
You have a favorite Marissa Mosley story?
Well, there were a couple things that were pretty funny early on. One was the very first summer that she was working, and we were out recruiting, and she and I, you know, were sitting there watching kids play, and she'd be like, "That number 34, kid's a pretty good player, huh?" And I'm like, "Really? You think so?" She goes, "Yeah, I really like her." And I go, "Hmm." And I just didn't say anything. She goes, "Not right, huh?" I go, "Nope." And then, you know, a little bit later, "Hey, that number 50 over there, kind of like her. She's pretty good. You know, like she." I go, "Oh, you like her, huh?" She says, "Yeah." She says, "No." I said, "No." So then, you know, a lot of time would go by, and then she finally go, trying to figure out, like, why are we at this game? You know, and she looked around and she goes, "Like, that kid over there, she's really good, huh?" I go, "Yeah." She goes, "Okay, now I get it." And it had nothing to do with, like, how good a player they were. Like, that's, okay, so that's what a Connecticut kid looks like. That kid's really good, that kid's really good, but that's what a Connecticut kid looks like. And from that day on, it was, kind of broke the ice, and she just, you know, it's not life and death. Just, you know, take it easy, relax. It's not the end of the world.
I would say that we're, like, strangely the exact same person off the court. And, like, what we were just talking about the other day, like, we don't understand how, like, we became so comfortable, like, to be how weird we are. But, because we're pretty weird, not gonna lie. The things we laugh at and just do all the time, like, we'll be sitting somewhere and just be like, spaz, like, for no reason. And we think it's the funniest thing ever, but everyone else no one else thinks it's funny but us. We do have dance parties in the dorms. We do. When we're bored, and
we spend hours like memorizing these dances. Like, seriously. There's nothing to do in the
else
dorms.
to do, so we just watch videos.
We spent a lot of time together before we even got here, like with USA. So we were like comfortable coming in.
Yeah, so it was easier to like actually get to know each other when we're here finally, and just also the fact that like we're in the dorms, the rest of the team is in the apartment, so like we spend the majority of our time together. Yeah. So I don't know, we just came out. Our weirdness came out, and we both were weird, so it was great.
That does it for us. We hope you enjoyed the show. For upcoming Geno Show dates and times, be sure to check out sny.tv/UCONN. I'm Kareth Burke. We'll see you soon.
Wednesday, Geno Auriemma and the Huskies gear up for some hardwood action at home as they look to crush the Mustangs in a conference rematch at Gamble. UConn women's basketball on SNY. UConn versus SMU. Coverage begins Wednesday at 6:30, only on SNY.
We now join our regularly scheduled program, already in progress.